Hello, this is Ferrante Frazier with Savannah Natural Health. We want to thank y'all for tuning in. The show has came up just a little late, but nevertheless, we're going to continue with some great information on natural hygiene, perception, and concepts of what's going on today with this vaccination, this immunization program, all this mass hysteria that's going on. So we ask that you stay tuned. We want you to stop right now, like and share, and follow ATR Media, all things relevant media, right here on Facebook. Go there and hit the like button now and share with all your friends because this is what's going on. You're hearing this all in the the news right now. You got everybody trying to get us to vaccinate ourselves. So, not telling you not to do it. You're your own person. However, we want to give you other information. Don't just get caught up on just one-sided information about this vaccination, these immunization, this whole concept of the so-called coronavirus and all other viruses. We done got caught up on one disease this whole year, while many other diseases are still taking people out. No one's talking about diabetes, high blood pressure, heart attacks, all these other issues that mankind is suffering from has taken backstage, even though we got more people dying from those. And matter of fact, everyone who's having these issues, matter of fact, I saw a post earlier where a guy was saying that his, and I don't wish the loss of anybody. It's not good that no one dies about anything. However, it's his mother. He said was like 90 some years old, and they're saying she died of COVID. Now she done had strokes. She done had all type of other stuff going on in her life, and you're gonna say COVID is what took her out. At 90 some years old. I don't see too many people going past that anyhow. But for us to put it on COVID as being the one that's taking us out, even with all these other issues that was going to take them out anyhow, I think COVID is getting a bad rap here. Just a regular cold. It's like people who have AIDS, they're blaming death on a cold. Cold is what did it and stuff like that. Well, a cold is something that anybody would get. It's just that the weaker individual, if the constitution was strong, the cough and the cold wouldn't do them no harm. But that's something we're going to talk about on a different show. This is Ferrante Frazier with Savannah Natural Health. I'm a naturopathic doctor where we're teaching the sound way of life without the use of medicines and herbs. If you're looking for a coach that can teach you a path to health without the medicine, without the herbs, without the supplements and all the superstitious treatments, look up Savannah Natural Health. We're here right here in Savannah. We can help you correct those issues without those, medical mentality. We have a book on Amazon program to help you understand our way of going by doing hygienics. Hygienics is a more natural approach to health. We want you to check us out. Look us up, Savannah Natural Health. Share right now because we're going to go start talking about the vaccinations. We're going to have a guest that come up here and talk about the vaccinations from a different point of view, even away from the medical point of view. You're going to find out it's more on the lines of trying to extort money from the people, putting the people in fear to sell their compounds and other chemical poisons, like a chemical warfare on the community. But we just have to wake up and look at it. A lot of us tend to say, well, I'm tired of those conspiracies. You might want to listen to some things. Don't think all this science stuff is law. And we're going to look later about that, how they made plenty mistakes. Once upon a time, the medical people hated bath. They said when the bathtub came in about that the bathtub was evil and that we needed to stay and don't submerge ourselves into water and cleanse ourselves. That dirtiness was the ideal thing. All you had to do is do the study on St. Patrick's. I know a lot of people love Savannah being this place of St. Patrick's, and they're mad that we're not going to be able to have St. Patrick's Day this year. But if we even look up a little and study a little bit more about St. Patrick, we'll notice that he was a very unclean person. And I know some people might get mad at me for saying that. but it's written in the book. I'm not making this stuff up. This stuff you can go and search. Everything that we talking about up here and that we give to you, you can go and look it up. You're going to learn about the word vaccination, where it came from, cow pus, this stuff you can look up. You're going to learn that term, and you can look it up, the old English term, meaning cow. So these things you can look up and justify for yourself and understand that we're not just pulling this stuff off of Google or anything like that. So we're going to talk about this vaccination, and we're going to talk about these immunization programs. Like I said, we're going to bring a guy up here who's going to talk about it from a different point of view when we start talking about the government hand in it, or the doctors, how they're exploiting us, and these lobbyists that's forcing us to, the government to put this information out and put this fear out in us to sell. It's like propaganda. There's some great marketing strategic plans that they got going on. And you're going to hear that out of the mouth of not just me, but even other people. And you'll start witnessing it as you pay attention to how that's all being marketed on the news. That's all being marketed in television. All this is a marketing scheme that these people that running these shows that are in charge of the media, in charge of the television, in charge of the radio, that information is being put out there mass to get rid, sell these poisons, and you wondering why are we doing this? It's all about money. It's a bunch of money in this thing. You got people selling masks, you got people selling books, you got people talking about everything is about making money now off COVID. How can I make money? How can I accomplish some gain off of this condition that's going on? So who's going to try to correct it if it's big money now? Who's going to tell you, hey man, you can get away from this fear. We can start saving our money, start throwing your life away and your health away by employing these concepts and these thoughts and mentality about this so-called COVID situation. Hey sis, how you doing? Hey Miss Margot, glad to see y'all up there. Please hit share and like us and have other people follow us. All right, so we're going to start defining. If you can Google, you can pull out a dictionary, the medical dictionary, and follow along with us. But we're going to define what are vaccines and immunization. All right, so when we define vaccines, we know is that we get, vaccine is a type of you'll say a serum poisoning or some type of pus poisoning. Like, for example, here in this country, one of the first vaccine was by an Englishman who was a farmer. He was an English farmer, all right? And he noticed that his cows did not get smallpox after they had it. After they had it and they had the sores of the smallpox, they noticed that they didn't get reinfected. So they felt that the cows got immunity once they had got the smallpox, they wouldn't get it again. So what the English farmer did was got a needle and he stuck the needle in the sore of the cow where the pus was at, all right? He actually stuck the needle in it. Now think about that. He stuck the needle in there, just a needle, just way back in the days, like I think back in the 1700s or something like that. But here it is. He stuck a needle in there, and he took that needle and stuck it up under his children and his wife, and they were said to have never gotten the disease of smallpox. So this, in their mind, they thought that the children had immunity like the cows because they didn't get it. Now, who would say they was ever going to get it anyhow? This is the speculation and theory. But this is way he thought, the English farmer now, he had no background in medicine or anything like that. He had no background in science, anything, just straight superstition. But he did this, and he gave that information to a charlatan. And this charlatan took it to to the medical board, and they just took it nilly-willy. But all medicine is charlatry anyhow, just believing in superstition. But we're going to get to that later on in the show. But vaccinations and immunity differ. With vaccination is actually you're taking a vaccine, right? The immunity or immunization are like a group of vaccines that you're taking, like you see that we're doing now. We're not just taking, well, the people are taking COVID as a vaccine right now, but it will become a part of the immunization program here later on, that you see the kids taking at 2, 3, where they're taking like up to 70 some or 40 to 70 some different vaccines all grouped up at one time. And who to say that all these vaccines that's being dumped in our kids don't have some adverse reactions or effects in the kids, coupling all these different medicines together. And you're also going to learn while we're talking that every state got a different immunization program. All of them don't have the same, it's not uniform. In Georgia, they have certain vaccines that you have to take. You go to Florida, they got their own set of vaccinations that you have to take. You go to South Carolina, they got their own vaccination that you would have to take. So here it is, all the while, all these different states got their own vaccination program. So there's no unification there. And I want you to even understand something there. Let's look at that. Imagine that a child in California, and he's under a certain set of vaccinations, even a vaccination that no one else have in Georgia yet. Now let's look. Now, what is the vaccination? What we talked about when we actually define what vaccinations is, we actually get it's the inoculation of a child or adult, well or sick, with septic matter, pus, in other words. So vaccination is the inoculation where you're actually injecting straight into the blood system of a child or adult, well or sick, with septic matter, pus, derived from the drainage from an infected person or animal. All right. So vaccination is when you willfully or intentionally inject septic matter into a child or adult, well or sick, all right, from some other type of infected person. You pull the infection out of another person and inject it into a well or sick person and hoping to vaccinate them. And if you notice that we keep putting up there what makeup means, cow pus. This is what they've been vaccination for the smallpox and all these other vaccines that we've been putting out here. Whatever the infection is, we take the infection and we inject it into well people to create immunity. This is the concept of the vaccination. Immunization is serum poisoning used by the healing arts and cure mongers in hopes to make well or sick immune system by poisoning. All right. So it's usually made from a so-called germ or virus. It's a program of vaccine using vaccines in us and in our kids and in our friends, family. So it's a program of poisoning, in other words. That's how we can look at the term. It's a program of poisoning, these immunization programs. All right. So here it is. Vaccination is straight up septic matter that we're putting in our body. All right. Immunity. If we look at immunity, what is immunity? According to Ellen White. All right, I don't know if you're familiar with Ellen White. Ellen White is attributed as being one of the leaders of the Seventh-day Adventist group. And she said, I'm going to read one of her writings to you, Ellen White. You can look her up, and you can even go in and put in these words and get the same, know that these are words coming from her, not just making this up. All right. So Ellen White said, many persons bring disease upon themselves by their self-indulgence. They have not lived in accordance with natural law. Others have disregarded the laws of health in their habits of eating and drinking, dressing and working. Often some form of vice, she says, is the cause of the feebleness of mind or body. Should these persons gain the blessings of health, many of them will continue to pursue the same course of heedless transgression of God's natural and spiritual laws, reasoning that if God heals them in answer to prayer, they are at liberty to continue their unhealthful practices and to indulge in perverted appetites without restraints if God were to work a miracle in restoring these persons to health. He would simply be encouraging their unhealthful living habits. Now, so what Ellen White is saying here with this immunity thing, if you actually were given immunity to your bad habits, then why even make a law? Why even say it's bad if I'm going to give you a out to it? If I'm going to not punish you or have the punishment attached to your bad doing, well, then why even call it a law? Why even, why would Georgia put out laws if they're not going to try nobody? We got the DA was just up there talking about, we're going to try you according to the Constitution. But what good is her job if everyone has immunity? If everybody has immunity, the DA is of no problem. She can't sue nobody. She can't come after nobody if everybody can pull up and say, hey, I got immunity. So what are they making laws for if everyone has immunity? Why is there disease if we all have immunity? Why do healthy people got to eat healthy if there's a pill or a needle that you can get immunity from? We have to pay attention to what's going on here. So according to God's law, it's either cleanliness or nastiness, virtue or vice. It's better to be obedient than sacrifice your health. All right. So you're telling me that virtue is not, you'll say, wanted in this world. No one want to live healthy anymore. Let's just take something. If you notice, no one is claiming that we need to eat right when they're talking about the issues that's going on. You hear none of these scientists up here that's up here begging you to go eat fruits and vegetables, people. Eat salads. Get you a big bowl of salad to put with your food. Drink more clean water, people. Get up off the couch and exercise. You don't hear none of these scientists up here saying that, but you're saying that these are the people worrying about your health. They're in control of the health board. These are the medical people that are the gurus, the one that's trying to keep you alive and safe. But you never hear now one of them talking about getting quality of air, telling you to go to sleep and get rest and take that fear down and become more peaceful and become more loving in the world. That's what creates health. But this is not what they're telling you. According to, we can read all through the Bible because I know it's a lot of Christian people in this community. If we only look at those people who were doing wrong in the Bible, and God would tell them to clean up their community, otherwise they were going to suffer. These people were suffering diseases, especially those communicable diseases. They were all dipping in the same pool of Bethesda. They were all swimming in the same pool of Siloam. They're taking baths in the same bathtubs, in other words, because they had communicable baths back then. They didn't have separate bathtubs. They had a group of bathtubs. And then you had these people who were not going out of the city and getting rid of their waste. They didn't have toilets, flushing toilets in that time, in those cities. And these people were having bowel movements right there where they lay their head at, where they cook their food at. And they didn't understand that they were living in filth. You know, they were eating out of the same pots that they didn't wash. They were just cooking it over and over, you know, leaving stuff out there rotting and bacteria and still doing it. They were living in filth, these people. And it took for somebody to come and tell these people to clean up. You're suffering these diseases, and all these viruses is taking over, these parasites is taking over your city because it's unclean. The man of God had to come there and start telling them, hey, clean this place up. And the sicknesses that y'all suffering from would disappear. Matter of fact, the king, if he was listening and wasn't hard-headed, he'll proclaim a fast for the land. He'll make everybody clean up. He'll make everybody start fasting. And we can see that even in smallpox, a lot of people and all these measles and all these epidemics from the past, they'll say, well, vaccinations work with that. But we noticed, according to Florence Nightingale, and a lot of people knew who Florence Nightingale is. And she talked about what got rid of these epidemics. It was when cleanliness came into the picture. When the streets over in different areas where she was at, people were throwing trash into the streets. They didn't have any running water. The buildings were so tall that it blocked the sun. So the place always looked dark and airy and swampy. Didn't have no light. Dreary. The people weren't eating right. They weren't drinking right. They were scared to drink water because they thought water had bacteria in it. So they had them drinking drinks, juices, and liquors and stuff like that. They thought fruits were bad for them, that had bugs on them and stuff like that. So meats and slops were better for food. So the people were living in ignorance. They were living in filthiness, but filthiness was considered healthy. And this is why they were suffering. And this is the same thing that's going on today. We're not living by virtue. We're trying to save ourselves by vices instead of cleaning up and changing our mode of living. We're trying to immune ourselves from bad eating instead of just stop the bad eating. We're trying to immunize ourselves from laziness, not exercise, instead of get up and exercise. You know. We have to change our mode of living, not change our needles. That's the job of an addict, a heroin addict. You know. So we have to get away from nastiness and become clean again. Uncleanliness is what's causing our issues that we're suffering from. Now, immunity comes with a price. You know, you're just not going to get immunity just nilly-willy. It comes with a price. The price of immunity comes with you living righteous or living healthy, in other words. Right for this body. This body can't be living you're not washing it, you're not feeding it right, you're not drinking right, you're not giving it any rest, you're not maintaining normal temperatures with it, you're not straight in your mind, you're just letting your mind just run wild. It doesn't, you have no control of it. You're constantly having bad thoughts, you fear, you got jealousy going on, you around here hating, you got all these negative emotions in your mind, and those things are toxic. Matter of fact, we're going back to the Bible because, like you said, we got a lot of Christians here. But if you notice, Jesus said that if you don't have to sleep with a woman to commit adultery. Say if you committed the act in your mind, you have already done so. So you don't have to call that brother, crazy or stupid or silly or anything. You don't have to say it out loud. If you think it, you have already committed it. So a lot of times, if our mind is toxic, we're creating toxins in our body. and it's weakening us. So we have to even change our way where we just putting out nothing but love in our hearts and in our mind. Don't just say it with your mouth. You fooling us, but you're not fooling yourself. We were talking that in the class today, where one of the counselors was saying, yeah, that's one person. Well, there's two people you can't fool, God and you. Y'all gonna know the truth. And if you're not doing right, it's gonna affect you and your mind. So the mind has to be in control and the body got to be in control. You can't just think that you can eat healthy. You got to have a healthy mind also. All right? So you got to have control of your emotion and keep the will to live. You know, work towards bringing peace, not only in your own life, but all around you. Have love for your community. This what's got to come. Immunity comes with a price. The price of you living correctly. All right. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about the orchid man. A lot of people trying to figure out how these viruses is causing our issues. Why are these viruses affecting us? And if we just imagine this, imagine that you and your okay, for the women, let's say you and your husband and your child, right? Y'all are filthy and never clean up in your house, right? And y'all acquire roaches. Y'all get roaches crawling in your house because y'all never clean up, right? Now, these roaches, they coming about because your husband don't never take out the trash. He just leave the trash in the kitchen. The wife, she don't clean up after herself as she's cooking. The child, he just sitting there eating all through the house, just dropping cookies everywhere, tater chips all over the place. So roaches come about, all right? Now, these roaches are coming from the decaying waste that's being left out all over the way. They coming to eat that stuff up now. They also make waste themselves now. After they get finished eating, don't think a buzzard just eating. He don't have no waste that come from behind him after eating up the dead, dying stuff on the side of the road. So roaches, they leave behind little stuff too after they done got finished eating your trash and all this type of stuff. They leave behind waste. All right? Now, let's imagine that instead of cleaning up, we call the orchid man. Now, everybody know who the orchid man is, right? Instead of us cleaning up the place, we call him to come and spray, and he's spraying on top of the trash, just spraying on it. That should get rid of them roaches, all right? But the wife, she don't clean up the kitchen. The husband, he still don't take out no trash. Now, I know a lot of y'all want to tell him he better go take that trash out, but he don't take out the trash. And that child, he's steady walking through the house, just dropping cookies and tater chips all over. Now, he comes out, sprays. You continue this, more roaches show up. Matter of fact, bigger roaches come now because they still coming to eat that food. They're gonna let that wear off, or some bigger roaches who can withstand the orchid man little poison. The orchid man gonna have to come next time with something even stronger. He's gonna say, well, I got some stronger stuff to get rid of these roaches that keep appearing back. All right. So he comes and this goes on. This fiasco goes on for a couple of months, maybe even some years. So it's just you're not taking out anything, stuff just sitting there decomposing, and you just spraying on top of it. Eventually, it come a time where the orchid man stuff just don't work. No matter how much you spray, the roaches, not only roaches, you got rats and all type of other parasites coming to the house now because it's just a bunch of overload. You see this stuff on with them hoarders. Just look at hoarders, and you can see how all the stuff they done had piled up in there all this time, dead stuff they didn't never clean. You got all kind of stuff growing in there, all type of stuff living in the house with them. These parasites that can't, I don't care how much you spray, they're not going anywhere. They're just going to keep forming out of the decaying stuff in there. So you can sit there and spray all you want, but it's going to come a time where that house is going to become unlivable. Those roaches, those parasites, they're going to even eat at the foundation of the house, where the walls are going to be ate up. You know, other elements of the house is going to be, you know, destroyed till the house becomes unlivable. Now, let's look at that when we look at the human body. All right. The human body is the house. That's your temple. That's what houses your soul, according to the scriptures now. But the body is your temple. All right. Now, when you eat these bad foods, the foods that are not ideal with all these preservatives and additives in there, those preservatives and additives, they're not natural. Most of the food that we're eating is not real food. We're eating manufactured food out of laboratories. We call them Frankenstein food. Now, these foods, ain't no man can make one of these, is it? Huh? You never seen a man come up with an orange, is it? They start making oranges, boy. Ooh, ooh. Now, they're not, you know, they grow some oranges a little unnatural, but he still can't make it. But also, you don't see God providing no hamburgers and sandwiches or hot dogs and stuff like that on no trees either. So God sticks to growing fruits, and man sticks to growing these or manufacturing these man-made food. But those things are very difficult when they get into our body to come out, because our body can't digest them. So if it's not digesting it, that food is remaining in your body for a long period of time. Now, that long period of time that is sitting in there is irritating and decomposing. It's decaying. Now, here again, what comes with decaying matter? All right? Viruses, germs, bacteria come to decaying matter. Now, we talked about this last week in germs. If you ain't paid attention to it, go back and check out our show from last week where we talked about germs, viruses, and bacteria. Oh my. And their role in decaying matter that's being accumulated in our body. Now, when this decaying matter is now the germs is the roaches. They're the parasites that's coming there to eat away the trash. Long as you put trash out there, the roaches are coming. I don't care how much you spray or whatever, they're coming. That's their job. That's their life, to come and eat away this stuff. You know, that's decaying. That's rotten. So the organ man, that's the doctor. He coming there spraying, vaccinating you, immunizing you, all type of stuff. It works at the beginning. It works for a couple of times, this fiasco go on for a little while until it come a point where his medicine don't work anymore. It's of no value. But by then, your structure has been destroyed, because every time he sprayed, you didn't change anything. You still ain't took nothing out. So you just were, you know, unaware that your body was tearing down. Now it's to a point where you got this chronic issue going on, you know, and there's nothing we can do about it. The house become unlivable. This is what we call disease and death. So let's get away from the organ man. Leave the organ man alone, the medicine man, and wake up and clean up your house. Your house is your body. How you clean up your house? Get rid of the toxins. First thing you do, tell everybody to stop bringing food in the house. Stop bringing trash in the house. And then let's all take a day and let's clean this house up. Tell that son to stop eating through the house. Tell husband, hey, get up off your tail and take that trash out. and have the wife clean up the kitchen. Everybody do their job to clean this house up. So you got the house, the wife being the kidneys, the husband being the colon, the child being the lungs. So, we get those organs back cleaning because those are our elimination organs. They don't want to get rid of toxins out of our body. But most times they've been abused or overused from our eating and drinking and our toxic air. We done damaged our lungs from all the air pollutants that we're around. We done damaged our kidneys from all the sodas, coffees, and teas and alcohol we done drank. We done irritated our colon to all the toxic and heavy denatured foods that we done threw in there. So they're never able to clean out the body because they're steady trying to get rid of the waste we keep bringing in. So it never have a chance to clean up the tissues and cells and repair stuff. All right. So we're letting the body break down. Now let's go into this immunity, where we're looking at immunity as being, the immune system. A lot of people really don't even know what the immune system is. Some of us may think it's just an organ. But let's look and see, what is the immune system? What is well, first of all, the immune system is like your like the army. Like right now, you got these people who at the Capitol building, they say have taken over the Capitol building. Now, I'm not too much in politics to really tell you what's going on. But first of all, we want to thank you for listening to our show and supporting us, and hit like and share, ATR Media, Natural Lizelle. But I want you to pay attention because we're going to bring in a guy in just a minute, and he's going to talk a little bit about this from his point of view when we start talking about this government. But the immune system is likened to the defense for the United States right now. And we see that the immune system or the defense system of the United States was kind of weak when it allowed regular old individual people to actually penetrate something that had supposed to have been impenetrable, if that's a word. But here it is. That's the same thing when we suffer from like immunodeficiencies or AIDS or these other lupus or different other issues where our immune system is weak. Now anything can come in and penetrate and cause us an issue. So there's been a breach, in other words. So the immune system is the defense. It's like the Army, the Navy, and the Marines all mixed up together. But if all of them stretched out in Africa fighting a war over there, and you got some over in Asia fighting, and you got some stationed in Japan fighting, and you got some stretched out everywhere, like in the body. You got your immune system stretched out all over the place, dealing with coffee, dealing with tea, dealing with food, dealing with smoking, dealing with this and dealing with that. Then there's nothing to defend the body. The body is just wide open. It's just wide open. If it's wide open, then anything can just come in there and just, set up shop. Jesus, here again, Christian language. Jesus said a strong man. No one can come into a strong man's house and spoil his goods. But a weak man coming in, buying him up and make it their house. And just, rob him blind. Not blind because he's there. He's just sorry. He can't defend himself. So this is what happens when our immune system becomes weak. Our immune system can defend us from anything. But that's when it's strong. But when it becomes weak, and it becomes weak from constantly being activated. If it's always activated and stretched out in different directions here. And you got casualty of war. All the soldiers don't come back from Japan from the war. All the soldiers didn't come back from Vietnam. All the soldiers didn't come back from Saudi Arabia. You had losses there. So half of the army died at war. So you got a 50% army now. So if another invasion took over, we only have 50% of the fighting power. So imagine when you having these crises in your body back to back. You're dosing yourself with poisons back to back, and you're activating your immune system back to back. You're constantly got it at war, and it's getting weaker and weaker. Every bad habit, every time they have to defend the body, is getting weaker and weaker. We want to thank all those who commented, and we ask that you share and spread this good information, because we want you to understand how to protect yourself. Now we want to bring up. I want to bring in Mr. Hall to give his perspective on what's going on as we look at the immune system, immunization programs, dealing with doctors, lobbyists, and government, because we believe that the doctors have a lot to do with how they're marketing this so-called vaccines and this immunization program. We believe that lobbyists are, at the Capitol, maybe was right there. That's probably what they got some of the pictures from. They probably in there lobbying. Hey man, make these people take these medicines. We'll pay you more money. Believe me, lobbyists, they are in there making this happen for the medical people. That's why the medical people are pretty much the only one can get Medicaid, can only get insurance. You go to a holistic doctor, it's hard for us to bill your Medicaid or bill your insurance. It's only for medical. So medical made it. They lobby way. They're the only ones that can accept Medicaid and all this insurance. So you got to go to them for it. You got to go to them if you don't want to pay, because most people don't want to pay for their health. Come to us, you have to pay out of pocket. So who want to pay out of pocket when I can just go there, get this from the doctor, and I don't have to pay for anything. So we tend to go to them. How you doing, Mr. Julius? You doing all right today?
I'm good. I'm good.
Excellent. We're up here talking about these vaccines and these so-called immunization programs, and I know you know a lot about that when it comes to how these governments are coming up, and these companies are coming up with their way of marketing and putting all this foolishness out into the community. So I'm gonna just yield for a minute and let you talk a little bit. If I have some questions, I'm definitely gonna put them towards you. All right, so share with us a little bit.
Well, from our conversation, and this was from our conversation that you and I had, we were talking about where did the virus come from, and the virus just didn't pop up out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. It just didn't just say, "Poof! I'm here. I'm fit to take over the world. I'm fit to kill millions of people." It just didn't happen that way. This thing was foretold 40 years ago that it would happen in 2020. Somebody took advantage of that prophecy. Who benefits from taking advantage of that prophecy? Ain't but one entity benefits from taking advantage of that prophecy.
And who could that?
Pharmaceutical.
Right.
Big Pharma put this disease in the world. Now, I don't know whether Bill Gates got anything to do with it, because they say that Bill Gates wants to kill off a third of the world. He said it'll be better for the planet. And those are his words.
And if we look at that too, let me jump in there just to reflect on how you're saying that, because if we look at a lot of people don't realize that when you say Bill Gates, a lot of people they think of Bill Gates just being this computer guy. That's what a lot of them think when they hear about Bill Gates. He came up with this computer thing, and that's all they know him for. They don't know what Bill Gates been doing since then, though. And when they hear you say, "Well, Bill Gates doing this," they're gonna be like, "Well, what Bill Gates have to do with anything?"
When you get so much money, you got, at some point, you think you have more money than God. Mm-hmm. And when they get this type of money, then they go to thinking that they got to do something about issues affecting the planet. And rich people start thinking foolishly about earthly things. And I believe he's just one of those people. He is saying before that he wants everybody to get a chip in their wrist so you can be identified. You know, Bill Gates is a sinister devil, I think. And but the pharmaceutical companies, you and I were talking. That's why you asked me to come on to give my thoughts on this. I think that the pharmaceutical companies put this virus in the world. They're all claiming that it didn't leave their labs. The World Health Organization is over in China now trying to find out where it started and how. They'll never find that out. It was already foretold in 2 or 3 books that it would happen, that this particular virus would happen in the year 2020. They've been telling you this. So the opioid crisis cost big pharmaceutical companies billions, hundreds of billions of dollars in lawsuits. How do you think they're going to get that money back? They claim that the biggest one only worth about $70 billion. And then it goes to 50 and 47. And I was looking at it the other day. But they're worth way more than 47 to $70 billion. $70 billion. These companies lost hundreds of billions of dollars in the opioid crisis. How do you think they're going to recoup that money? Put the virus in the world. Kill off a bunch of people.
Make everybody fear. If you know they got a drive-through vaccination going on now. Drive-through now. You can drive and get vaccinated. So it's like you said, okay, if I can't sell opiate, I gotta find another way to get rid of all these drugs I got. You know, the drugs, if he can't get rid of his one drug, he gotta find a way to change that drug into something else. I can't get rid of this cocaine. Well, let me turn it into crack. I just gotta get rid of this stuff some type of way.
Exactly.
I gotta stand for my crack though. I gotta get rid of some crack addicts. So I gotta create this fear amongst the people. And you know, they don't got nothing but the flu. They ain't got nothing but a little pneumonia. They ain't got nothing but a little cold. But let's call it something else. Let's scare them and tell them it's this new thing. And let's just, come up with a solution. We got the solution. We create a problem and come up with a solution. Every marketing scheme that you see, every commercial, they tell you, hey, have you been this? They create a problem at the beginning of it.
And they already had created the problem, and they already had the solution. How did they come up with this vaccine so damn fast? All these doses that they have, knowing that it worked. Really? We
haven't came up with a vaccine for AIDS yet. Haven't come up with a vaccine for cancer yet. Haven't come up with vaccines for all these so-called other diseases.
Yeah, but they got one in less than a year for COVID-19 because they already had it. They already had the vaccine. The reason that they had the vaccine, they knew that they were going to put the disease in the world, and they already had. They were waiting, and it don't take Columbo or any of those ace detectives or Matlock to figure this out. These people put this disease in the world. Now it's a bunch. It's about 5 or 6 big pharmaceutical companies. Are they in cahoots? I would think that they all are, especially all the ones that got the vaccines already ready. It's already ready. They infected the world, and now they're trying to kill the world so they can make trillions of dollars, not billions, trillions of dollars, trillions. So they'll get their money back from the losses in the opioid crisis. Just that easy. It's just that easy.
Man, like I said, we see that they got a drive-through. I'm sure they might set up at McDonald's or Burger King. I seen it looked at worse than Chick-fil-A on a Saturday night, knowing that you can't get it on Sunday. It had to be wrapped around the corner. it was so many people lined up to get this vaccine, and as they were getting the vaccine stuck in them, they were allowed to just drive off.
Exactly. And the thing is, they have this other company now. You got Moderna, you got Pfizer, you got all these companies giving you 2 shots. They got this other company that's come in that's giving you 1 shot now. How the hell you came up with that? How you came up with the 1 shot so fast? In a couple of weeks, you came up with 1 shot. Now I know they'll probably be wanting to know why are we talking so bad about them, but Big Pharma put this disease in the world, and Big Pharma is curing the world with it. In Norway, they had 23 people die from the disease. I mean, from the vaccine.
Right.
23 people took it and died. But all healthcare professionals.
I didn't see that on the news. I didn't see that on the news.
It was on the news.
Now I saw a little baby who's supposed to. They said that a lady who was pregnant died from it and couldn't smell, or she couldn't smell, and the house burned down. I heard that, but I ain't heard about nobody dying from the actual drug. But they're not putting that out there like that.
Yeah,
only thing
you have a doctor in Florida die from it.
See, we're not hearing that. That's not on the news. We don't see that on the news. All we see is people who so-called dying from the COVID.
Yeah, some news they ain't gonna give it to you. But when I turn my computer on every morning, you get the news from all over the world, from different sources, but they're gonna give you the dramatic part of it, and then they don't want to scare anybody to not take the vaccine.
Right.
So that's part of the thing why you're not going to hear it on regular news. I never saw anything about the 23 people, but the AP did a segment online about the 23 people dying after getting the shot. It's not gonna. You got to realize all our bodies are made up different, and some people's body is gonna reject it.
Let me ask you this: do you think vaccines actually even work? Like, is vaccines anything like? Because, like, for example, me myself, I'm gonna say vaccines is a big hoax in itself. It's injecting poison into a body. Why I'm gonna infect myself with something that I wouldn't necessarily get? If I'm trying to stay away from this virus, why would I inject the virus in me in hopes to not get the virus? So that makes no sense to me in the first beginning.
You got a good point, but if they didn't work, then the pharmaceutical companies would be dead broke. They know how to make you sick and get you well. They know how to do that. So that's what their plan is. They get you sick and they get you well. That's why medicine is so high. I took the flu shot probably 20 years ago. Got so sick, I thought I was about to die. I haven't taken a flu shot since then.
Right. So listen what you just said. I took the flu shot and I got sick. So that's what I just said. You injecting the very virus that you said you want to immune yourself from. So you're actually poisoning and putting the exact thing that you're trying to avoid. So all these people who saying, I don't want to get the virus, well, take the vaccine, you got it. You're actually giving yourself it. You're willingly, intentionally throwing the very thing that you around here scared and booing and fearing about. Yeah. So that's why I'm trying to see, where does vaccination come in there as making sense?
Because, and think about it, it's the same concept.
You see where I'm coming from?
Because
if you think about it, even they saying that, okay, how can you explain smallpox? How can you explain measles? How did they get away? Well, we cleaned up the place. Change in lifestyle brought about health in those people.
Your mic going out. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Well, anyway, It's the same concept as being.
I got. It seemed like you're getting froze on your end over there. You're freezing
Oh
up a
yeah,
little bit
it
on
looked
your
like it
end.
had froze on your end. But
Might want to
anyway,
check your connection a little bit.
yeah, that's probably
You
what it
kind of
was. One of
froze
us
up on
froze
us.
up.
So we're
One of
gonna
us.
just talk a little
But
and tell you.
let me say
I
this
can
real
hear
quick.
you now, but you're kind of froze.
I'm froze again.
Go ahead.
Oh, it's like
Somewhat.
you
Go
get.
ahead.
It's like getting bit by a rattlesnake. And what do they cure you with?
Okay.
The rattlesnake
The
venom.
poison.
Same thing. How is that possible? They make the cure off of the venom from the rattlesnake. I can't explain it.
I understand, but we can explain it. It's really it's the person who has a weak immune system can't protect themselves from the snake bite. As many people get bit by snakes all day long, according to the bloodstream of the individual, will create their weaknesses and allow their body to break down. If you have a good, clean bloodstream, when poisons are into your body will reject those poisons. But a person who actually have a weak bloodstream or a toxic bloodstream, then when you add more toxins to it, it become an overload. And that's why you see people suffer and die when they get bit by poisons or inject poisons in their body. But if you keep and maintain a pure bloodstream, that's why you even hear back to the Christian point, you can walk over serpents and stuff when you're living right. You can be done ingest some poison unknowingly, and your body will protect you provided you maintain a good structure or good bloodstream. But when you're living toxic and you indulge in those things, your body will show signs of sickness and destroy yourself from it. So that's how we explain it. That's why the medical people are going to take credit and make it seem like their drugs working, but their drugs never work. The body is healing itself at all times. You got people who heal themselves under chiropractic work, under electric work, magnetic work, all type of healing heal the same disease. But it's not those modalities healing the disease. It's the body healing itself in spite of those modalities. Those people who get healed in spite of the medical intervention. The body was going to heal itself anyhow. Band-Aid don't heal anything. The wound going to heal with or without a Band-Aid. So it's just the medical people are using their charlatan and magic on us to make us believe that their medicine are the cure when there's really, you're not suffering from nothing but a cold in the first beginning. And all you need to do is allow it to run a course and change your mode of living. And then you don't even have to even worry about sicknesses. You wouldn't even have to worry about immunizing yourself, So that's where we look at it from holistic side of it.
I'm gonna tell you what I think also. I think they put the flu out every winter. They put it out every winter. They created different strains of it so that we can get sick. It's a different strain every time. They created swine flu. They created the other one, the bird flu.
West
the West Nile virus. They created all these things. There was somebody showed the box the other day on the vaccine,
which was actually in horses. It really didn't even affect nobody. It was really in horses.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy. It's crazy. They test people in Africa first. They test Africa first. That's crazy. It's actually crazy.
Right.
They test people in Africa.
Well, hey, I thank you. I thank you so much. We done about ran out of time here, and we got the Alicia Blakely show coming up here. I want to thank everybody who tuned in. We're gonna carry this show possibly into next week, cap on it, but we got a new topic coming up. Stay tuned. Follow us, like, share, ATR Media. This has been Mr. Julius Hall. Y'all need to get to know this guy. He's the one helping us put out all this great information. We thank you, Mr. Hall, for all you've done and coming up here and helping us talk. And hey, we want to thank y'all and have a great day. and have a great rest of the week. And we'll see y'all next week. Best of health from Savannah Natural Health.
And tune in to All Things Relevant Media on Facebook for all our weekly shows. We're on 7 days a week. We got 2 or 3 shows on every single day. Check our page out so you can find out what time they come on and what days. And
All things
also
relevant.
you can catch us on ATR Black Media Network on YouTube. Check us out.
YouTube. Check us out.
Next Tuesday.
Best of health. Thank you, Mr. Hall.